Welcome back to the Minnesota is Rust. Rusty Deals. 1981 Jeep Scrambler. So this is your CJ8, your CJ7 with a truck box, kind of, sort of, on the back. 3,500. You saw the picture there at the intro there. Clean title, rotted frame, but they got an extra one, so that's helpful. The problem with that is that frame most likely is not the only piece of metal that isn't in one piece anymore. So there will be more work to be done. If you're not super familiar with a CG8 or the Scrambler, people call them, early 80s, mid 80s, it was a CJ7, the other CJ3, 5, 7, depending on what decade your Jeep came from. It looks like that. That's a really nice one right there. Off-road one, souped up, jacked up, all that. So essentially, it's a Jeep with a truck box. So they kind of brought that back for newer Jeeps for real money. There you go. There's our unit there. So this has a hard top there. I think they were fiberglass. Gives you an idea. They've got live axle front, live axle back. You can see the leaf springs hanging out there in the front. Looking at it, it doesn't look that bad. Then again, these were so known for rust, the tubs. So like the floor and the firewall would always rot. But there's your frame. There's your rusty frame. And you can see, the body where the body mounts above it. You can see holes through that too. You've got brake lines or whatever hiding through there. You can see your drive shaft looks scaly, crusty, where your leaf springs mount are pretty scaly, pretty crusty there in the back. Everything there would be soft. So for 3,500, you would be starting with at scratch. There's parts of your frame that are rusty too. You can see the hole there where a tie down would go for shipping. You can see the one on the left is elongated nice. The one in the middle-ish to the right is bigger than it should be. That's rotted out too. So yeah, that's rough. View from the back. I don't know. You had an extra wheel sitting in the back. The doors might be up with something else, or different color, or the paint faded on those. Looking along the rocker on the driver's side, looks like some galvanized or aluminum piece was put in, so that tells you what was there before. Just looking at the other fenders or whatnot, like I said, the body's going to be rusted through because these rust even in the best conditions. So this is from the upper Midwest. This is from the Rust Belt. Four-wheel drive, most likely it was driven in the winter, of course, and these rust away just with water and sand and dirt getting stuck. There's your wheel well, or your arch, over the back, and that's pretty rough too. Doesn't look like it's been sitting forever, so maybe mechanically it's not super rough. There's your frame again, and you can see the body in the top part of the picture, but the frame is gone. Like I said, water and salt and dirt will just kind of sit in parts of these frames in the pockets, and they'll just rot their way through. So sometimes they're rusted out at the bottom, sometimes they're rusted out on the side. Just depends where the water sits and has to find a way to get out, and it will do what it needs to do. I don't know. The only thing that's kind of intriguing about something like this, and hey, always some free parts in the back, right? Is that these can be worth pretty decent money. Looking at, even if it's a CJ5 or a CJ7 from the 70s or 80s, these Wrangler type Jeeps are they're collectible. They're kind of nice. The older ones are simple. But what are some other examples that we have here from Marketplace? So just kind of searching around my neck of the woods here, up here in Minnesota. Here is an example. You see the diamond plate in the back behind the rear wheels. Like I said, these rust, so people will just replace the metal. Here's an 82 CG8 Scrambler for 19.5. So 20 grand. This one looks to be pretty decent. Interior picture here, you can see There's your transfer case, 2-speed. There's your 5-speed manual right there. Interior looks pretty decent. Looks like the grab bar on the passenger side is kind of rusty. So this has a 4.0 and a 5-speed from a 97 Cherokee. So this has a newer fuel-injected motor. It's been built by somebody, lift, suspension, body lift, painless harness comes with it, all original gauges. So there's your, yeah, so looking at that, if you're a Jeep guy, you know that that's a 4.0, not 4.2 that they should have looking at the top. So that had some money put in it. Here's another one, an 84 for $17,000. So this one looks to be a little closer to stock, and in the description, I think that's what it was too. You can see some work's been done underneath. You can see some paint's been done there. It looks like the only non-stock thing is a Sniper EFI put on, and you'll see that pretty common. So if you wanted to put it back to stock, you can put the carb back on it, but with that Sniper, it makes it nice to drive and to start, especially when it's cold. I don't know, looking at the body there, looks pretty good. You can see that those are the filler necks and vent for the gas lines. Don't look too terrible. Overall, there's your nice 20-footer, but probably needs some work underneath. And that was in the description too. It needs body work and some love is what they said there. So that can be kind of what you end up with by putting some effort into. Jumping over to Auto Trader, they have their whole classic page where you can see what's for sale there. So here's an 83 Scrambler for $12,500. And looking at the picture, it looks like it's sitting, in a garage. Tires got air in it, so that's not too bad. Looks like it's just a dirt floor, so that can be a problem with moisture sometimes. The description, as in found condition, it was sitting in storage for a long time. They put in a new gas tank and got it running enough to move to another location. So that tells you at least the engine's not completely destroyed if they were able to get it running. I assume they would say if it was knocking or banging or whatnot. But $12,500 for something that needs restoration, but other than that, there it is. And then here's kind of an extreme example, $67,500. I can't imagine paying $67,000 for a Jeep, new or old. But there you go. So here we have one that's been modified, most likely. I'll pull up the description here quick. They say it's original here, but if you read through this, it does have fuel injection put on it. It does have an aftermarket radio put in it, but it's not cut. So they put the radio under the dash, or they put extra speakers behind the seat, so they're not cutting them into the doors or cutting into the dash to make it a bigger part for the radio. So I appreciate that, but I don't know if one of these is worth $65,000 in my opinion, but someone's hoping to get that. Over here at eBay Motors, here is one. This one's been modified, so $35,000. This has got a big lift put on it. Some off-roadiness all the way around this Jeep. Looking at the description here, so this has your Chevy 350 put in. Pretty common to put a V8 swap into these. There was room, pretty easy. Rewired, new wiring, new lights, automatic transmission. So then again, it says they don't know how many miles are on the engine, but it's got a V8 swap, so who knows. This one is still being bidding over here on eBay Motors, $4,500. Of course, it says minimum not yet met, so that's not going to go for $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. If we're looking at what other prices have been going for, the description here talks about, basically they're informing you about what a Scrambler is. One funny note on there says this was converted to a straight axle. So apparently the person writing the description doesn't know that all of these had straight axles front and back. And that again also had a V8 swap put in it too, a Chevy small block, which as I mentioned before is pretty common. Hemmings has lots of used stuff here. So here is a Scrambler 27.9. It's got your soft doors, and I don't see a hard top, probably just a soft top with it then. So overall, it looks all to be in one piece. Pretty decent shape right there. We get a chance to look under the hood, and this has, I can see 4.2 on that valve cover. So this would have most likely the 258 that should be in there, that stock motor. And then I get a chance to look underneath. You can see that drivetrain and the skid plate over the fuel looks about how it should be. So that one is probably pretty close to stock. And so that's how much a stock one is going for. Then again, what they're asking for it isn't what they're selling it for. And then here is $50,000. So there's your real classic paint on those with the stripes that run from the front fenders to the doors, across the rockers to the box in the back. Remember seeing a lot of those back in the day when these were kind of sort of everywhere. The top looks pretty clean. Let's get a chance to look underneath and see what we see there. It looks pretty nice, pretty detailed. There's your rear diff, front diff. See the transfer case, skid plates. Some kind of small turbo mufflers there. Look like some baby Flowmasters maybe, but true dual exhaust. And oh, this is nice to see. You see that distributor at an angle, so you know that most likely is an AMC motor in there. So a 304, maybe a 360, but at least not a small block Chevy swap. So $3,500 is what we are starting with on this thing. And just remember, if you're going to restore it to drive it and enjoy it, you're going to be putting your own blood, sweat, and tears into it. Maybe it's not bad. Don't forget, the frame is gone. So rebuilding that frame would be tough. In the description, that did say they had another frame. Maybe it's worth it, but that is definitely more than a winter project in my book there. With that being said, thank you much. I appreciate you guys hanging out today here at Rusty Deals, Minnesota's Rust.